We're talking about a Russian junior officer who speaks. He is anonymous to protect his safety as well as his identity. Speaking to CNN, says that he was a part of this unit. February 22nd, the troop buildup along the border with Ukraine. And it was that evening that they were ordered to give over their cell phones, that he lost communication with the rest of the world. They were ordered to paint the Z's on their military vehicles, later to be symbolized the invasion of Ukraine. But again, no idea that that was in fact the mission. The following day, they were in Crimea. He did not know they were going to move forward in that Russian-controlled territory. But on February 24th, he says, yes, he was part of the launch of the war inside of Ukraine. He said many of his comrades, as well as himself, did not understand the goal. He tells CNN, and I'm quoting here, "We were not hammered with some kind of Ukrainian Nazi rhetoric. Many did not understand what this was all for and what we were doing here." The officer describing their drive towards Kherson and actually confronting Ukrainian locals, saying here, I'm quoting, "In general, when we saw the locals, we tensed up. Some of them hid weapons underneath their clothes, and when they got closer, they fired." He also told CNN that he often would hide his face from the Ukrainians because he was embarrassed out of shame as well as safety, that he didn't want the Ukrainians to see him on their land. He also says the second or third day, that is when Russian forces also came under heavy fire, heavy attack. He said these first couple of days he was really in a state of aftershock. And he says it was a miracle that he believed that he was even alive at that point. Now, after a couple of weeks into the war, this is where things changed for him. He said he got a hold of a radio receiver, and that is when he got a glimpse into the news here. He says, "That's how I learned that shops are closing in Russia and the economy is collapsing. I felt guilty about this, but I felt even more guilty because we came to Ukraine." And then he concludes, Pam, he says, "In the end, I gathered my strength. I went to the commander to write a letter of resignation. He told me there could be a criminal case. That rejection is betrayal, but I stood my ground." And Pam, he went off. He was now back home with his family. In terms of his future, his fate, he says he does not know. He is just glad to be home.